Casey kick it off.
Hello, everyone. I am Casey Furr. I am one of the post-secondary counselors. I will be doing the first few slides and just going over all of our 2026-27 cycle financial aid. This is the essentials. If anybody wants to tag along while we're doing this, please do not. We really, really want you guys just to get all of the information that we're going to be sending out and reviewing. This is not a step-by-step guide. To do that, to have a step-by-step guide, we will actually be hosting workshops with all of with the counselors. You can set up meetings. If we go on to the next page right here, hopefully everybody knows who their counselor is. They can set up a meeting or join one of their workshops. We'll be hosting those from December 1st, right after we get back from break until March 6th. So there's different dates and times per counselor. If your counselor is available, please jump in to one of their workshops. If they're not, you're more than welcome to hop into somebody else's. I know that we're all happy, willing, and able to host and work with any student regardless of who their counselor is. But just so you guys know, each one of your own counselors will be hosting workshops. So please make sure you get that information and you can set up a meeting and get into their workshops. We have them Monday through Friday, except on a few special days. And we will be starting that next week when we get back from, or week after next, when we get back from Thanksgiving break to starting December 1st, ending March 6th. All right, let's get into it. So today we are going to learn a few different things. Our top 5 things that we're going to be learning through this workshop will be types and sources of financial aid that you can receive, essential information about financial aid apps, how to appeal for more financial aid, the summary of the financial aid process, and lastly, your FSA ID challenge and the financial aid workshops that will be coming up. So number 1, the types and sources of financial aid. There are going to be self and help aid, which are loans and work study employment. And then there's gift aid. Those are that you do not need to pay back, like scholarships and grants. So the sources of financial aid and different kinds that you can get from different sources are you can get financial aid from federal government, from states, from college and universities, from private sources, and lastly, from employers. The federal and California student aid financial programs, there's tons of different ones are going to be right here listed on the left. We have different award amounts from minimum to maximum and then notes on each one. So Cal Grants A, B, and C, the minimum amount that you can get is $1,094 and up to almost 15,400. And it depends on what school and what program of study that you will be in. Then there's middle class scholarship, and that's about 2,200 to 4,500 for students whose household earns more than $100,000 a year. So when we get into your financial aid and getting your parents' taxes, and when we put in that information, if they make more than $100,000 a year, then they wouldn't qualify for this middle class scholarship. It's 100,000. It's for students whose household earns more than $100,000. So if your household earns less, you wouldn't receive the middle class scholarship. Then there's the Pell Grant. It's up to 7,395. There's a lifetime eligibility of that with 600%. Then there's the FSEOG grant, and that's up to $4,400, priority to Pell eligible students. And we'll get into a little bit more details on what those things mean. I know there's a lot of like, what does a Pell Grant mean? What is a Pell Grant? So we'll definitely get a little bit more into that a little bit later. There's the Teach Grant, which is up to 4,000. That requires service contract, otherwise converts to unsubsidized loans. There's work study that varies by school and on and off campus employment. And then there's direct student loans, and that's 3,500 to 23,000. And that's all undergraduate level. So you're not going to be getting school loans for graduate school. You can go on to the next one. Essential information about financial aid applications. So any U.S. citizen or eligible non-citizen, so if you are a refugee or if you if you are seeking asylum, then you can do our traditional FAFSA just on the studentaid.gov website. If you do not have a social security number or a DACA social security number, then and you have a U visa or you're an undocumented, then you will be doing this California Dream Act as well as with AB 540 students. So there's two different applications. When we reference financial aid, it could be one or the other. It depends on it depends on where you're at. If you're a US citizen, if you're not, if you have a social security number, if you don't. So, and we'll go into a little bit more detail on this in workshops, and we'll also help you. We know that there's a lot of students or parents that have no social security number or that might fit into one of these categories. So we don't want you to feel scared or frightened or feel like you can't come to us and or have these applications or be able to qualify for one of these, because you still can. It is safe, and we definitely treat this with with gloves, and we want you to feel protected, and it's okay that you have parents or family members or anything like that. We still want you to be able to fill out one of these applications and get free money to go to school. So there is different applications, and you still can. So what is the free application for federal student aid, FAFSA, and the California Dream Act application, the CADA? It collects students' and parents' income, assets, and household information. So we put in your parents' income as if you have any as well. It calculates the student aid index, and it measures the family's ability to pay for college. So need-based student financial aid from federal government, the FAFSA or the FAFSA and the CADA, and then most colleges and universities. So when do we file for FAFSA or the CADA? So the earliest that you can file for this is October 1st. And I know that we're saying that we're doing it December 1st is when we're hosting our workshops, and this is our first financial aid kickoff. But it doesn't matter if you do this sooner or later, like that's not of importance. It's as long as you do it before the end. So there is priority filing deadline in California, which is March 2nd. But when we start hosting these in December, I think a good rule of thumb, something I always like to remember, is when you see people start putting Christmas lights on their house, that's when financial aid starts. And when you start seeing them take them down, that's when you need to hurry up and get on the ball and hurry up. Make sure it's already in there. You've already done your application. You and both your parents have your FSA IDs, and that you guys have already submitted this. So those are like huge rule of thumb. But it starts as early as October 1st of your senior year of high school, and you file for the FAFSA or the CADA as soon as possible to qualify for more grants. You file the FAFSA or CADA even before submitting college admissions applications. So some applications, most UC and CSU applications are due by the end of this year, and some there's different. Like if you want to go to community college, you can definitely do it later in the year. But financial aid is done before that. So we want to make sure that you have all of this completely finished, application submitted before you're going, and you still have time. And that way you'll get your letter, you'll get your acceptance, you'll find out how much you'll be receiving. And this is for the 2026-27 school year. The priority filing deadline in California is March 2nd to qualify for specific state grants. So your FAFSA ID is only needed for FAFSA. This ID is a digital signature used to sign the FAFSA direct loan and Parent Plus Loan Master promissory notes and to access federal student aid sites. So you create your own FSA ID and your parent creates their own. A social security number and date of birth are needed. So again, that is for financial aid. We'll get into more information about the CADA. Common mistakes are switching social security numbers. You will have your own social security number. Your parents will have their own. You will have your own FSA ID, and so will they. Your password and your username is different than your parents. Again, you have everything on your own. They have everything on their own. And then you guys complete this application together. There is a portion for the student section. There's a portion for the parent section. Please don't mix match or switch any of those up, because those are common mistakes. You can log in with a verified cell phone number or personal email address. And there is also a helpline, because there's a lot of pieces where maybe on accident you guys did mix something up that you can call, and you can get, there is a helpline so you can call and kind of fix any mistakes that you may have made. Where to file the FAFSA and the CADA. So the FAFSA is going to be on studentaid.gov, and the CADA will be the dream.csac.ca.gov.
All right, guys. So I am back. If you do have any questions, please drop them in the chat. Again, this is just to give you all the information. That's why we're going to have a ton of workshops when we get back from Thanksgiving break. We're gonna have Monday through Thursday, there's gonna be a workshop at least twice a day, Fridays, once a day. So please catch one of the counselors. You can work directly with your counselor, you can work with other counselors. We just want to make sure that you have that support. And any questions, like every situation, every student has a different plan. We want to make sure that we are honoring all of like your personal information, all of that. So just let us know what your needs are so we can support you with that. So sections of the FAFSA. So as we're going into, this is specifically for the FAFSA. For the CADA, we're not going to highlight too much of that, but if you do require that, please book a one-on-one with your teacher or not your teacher, with your counselor, and then come to our workshops as well. So sections of the FAFSA, there are 5 sections in an intro section. Technically 6, but they like to say that it's 5 in the intro. So we're gonna walk you through it. I'm also gonna go into the actual FAFSA. This is like a prototype site, so it looks just like the real thing. It's just not real information, and it does get a little glitchy when I was testing it out, but for the most part, it will show you what it's gonna look like on your end. So I will be highlighting a little bit of that. There are going to be some of the information on the slides that I'm going to skip out on just so I can actually show you what the site looks like. Um, Okay, so one of the sections, so these sections up here actually have changed. So there used to be 7 sections, now there's 5 in an intro. But yeah, this is where you can do your college search. This by no means should be the first time that you are like deciding where you're going to go to college. So if you are ready to apply for FAFSA, you should have at least a list of where you're going to apply to. The FAFSA lets you submit up to 20 schools. Some students do apply up to 20 schools. There are some students that apply over 20 schools. You can only submit up to 20 schools. And like, are you going to go to all 20? Probably not. You can only go to one. So I would suggest to put in maybe your top schools, add some safety schools, add a community college just in case. If you know that like in your heart, you are like out of California, out of the US, like you're just out of here, I would still recommend to at least list one California college. If you're not sure like which one, I would maybe choose the closest community college to you. And the reason for that is because we just never know what's going to happen. Like I always like joke around and say like right now your favorite color could be purple, and then by the time I see you in March your favorite color is now like a reddish pinkish brown. I don't know. Like things are always changing. So um listed as a safety. If you end up not going there, but you listed it on your FAFSA, nothing's gonna happen if there is no FAFSA and college application. The two cannot communicate. So just keep that in mind. That there are like safety precautions in place. Your application will basically sit in limbo if there is no college application to tie it to. So you can search it by like state, city, and school name, or you could search it up by the federal school code. If you do like a quick Google search, like what's the federal school code for like Cal State LA, you'll see that drop down list from there. So yeah, that is the school selection for FAFSA. This is a big one that comes up, and this is actually like when the FAFSA was redone about 2 years ago, this was a big one. Like even when I was helping out like my niece, I like messed this up because I was like, of course it's gonna be a no, but I didn't read the question. And yeah, so the question was basically asking, are the student's parents unwilling to provide their information, but the student doesn't have an unusual circumstance that prevents them from contacting or obtaining their parents' information? I said yes because I was like, yes, like of course we want to qualify for all the loans. When I initially saw this, I was like, yes, we want to be qualified for everything. But I didn't read the bottom question. So for this, it is for the most part, it is no. So this is where we can get into like those very nitty-gritty conversations of like what does your relationship look like with your parents, especially like maybe if you have no contact with them, no relationship. Those are the kind of conversations that we're talking about. If like sometimes you have like a falling out with your family or like arguments, but you make your way back to your family, I would say that this is probably not the scenario. So if you happen to be in that specific situation, like maybe reach out to me, reach out to your counselor, and let's discuss to see how we can go about this. Because if you're able to provide your parents' information, that is the best way to qualify for the maximum amount of financial aid. So yeah, work with your counselor so we can get you onto the right path. Okay, so for our foster youth, you are automatically considered an independent student. So answer yes if any of the time since the student turned age 13, he or she was in foster care, even if they are no longer in foster care today due to adoption, reunification, reach the age of majority in California. So yes, foster youth would be considered an independent student. For the note right here, documentation may be required by that college. And this is just like random verification. You typically have to write some type of statement. There's like documents that you have to follow up with, like maybe court order documents. It just really depends on your situation. There's really not like a list that I could give you guys. It just really just depends on your situation. But this would be a random verification through your financial aid office. So whenever we talk about like FAFSA and like going to college, every college basically has a financial aid office, and they're the ones that are like doing all like they're the middle person. They're doing all of the movement of like getting your FAFSA info into the college and seeing like what it is that you're going to qualify for. So I always hear students talk about like, oh, my FAFSA didn't go through, my FAFSA money didn't come in. I need to call FAFSA. FAFSA is not the one that awards the money. FAFSA is the application itself that then communicates that information to the college. The college financial aid office is who you'd want to talk to. And if you need help kind of facilitating that conversation or just like what to say, we can help you with that. We can't talk to the financial aid office on your behalf, but we can kind of coach you on like what to say. So at the end of the day, we want you to get that money and we want you to like, go to college and get that money and not go into debt. Legal guardianship. So this I'm going to just glance on over. If you have a specific situation, please let us know and we can work with that. Because I'm gonna actually pinpoint like whose information goes into what in future slides. Homeless and unaccompanied youth. This is also considered an independent student. So basically, if you are experiencing homelessness after July 1st, 2025, or unaccompanied youth, you would fall into this category. And this is how you identify. Um, there's really sometimes it's really hard to have documentation on this. Like at school, like it's kind of just like self-reported. We'll ask you like questions of like, what is your like home situation look like? Oftentimes they'll report that they're living in and out of motels, maybe they're couch surfing. Those are some of the scenarios that have come up. That's where we can then qualify you as a student that is experiencing homelessness. But specifically for like financial aid, it can get a little bit more nitty gritty where the college financial aid office might ask for more supporting information. So typically that could be a letter from us, just kind of stating like the things that you've told us that we qualified you, maybe as a student experiencing homelessness and things like that. There's really not like a form or anything that says like here, like this is it. So please work with your counselors if you happen to be in this situation. Um, and yeah, I'm gonna move on to the next slide. Let me check the chat. I think there's some questions there. Um,
There was a question about if parent information or parent FSA ID would be needed if a student is independent. And I did respond to it and I said parent information is not required for an independent student. However, there are a few circumstances that would make students independent under FAFSA or CADA and to talk to their counselor to make sure.
Yes. Yes. So, this scenario comes up a lot where students are like, I'm independent, I pay my own bills. So I'm just going to provide you that scenario. There's like, again, there's so many scenarios when it comes to this that if this is, hopefully this is your situation. So, I have students that are like, I pay my phone bill, like I pay for this or that. And your parents still kind of like you still live under your parents' roof. They maybe claim you on the taxes. In the eyes of like FAFSA and the federal aid, you're not considered an independent student. An independent student would be someone that's experiencing homelessness, someone that was or is in the foster care system, an adult that's over the age of 24 years old, an emancipated minor with proper documentation, What's the other one that I'm forgetting? Oh, if the student is married, so if you have like a legal marriage, that will also consider you an independent student. Or if you have children, that would automatically put you as an independent student. If you have no contact whatsoever with your family, like they cannot, like you do not talk to them, they are not willing to provide you with any of information, we can't just automatically, like, we can't just put you into independent. You would have to go as dependent. And then kind of that prior screen that I shared, that like unusual circumstance, you would fall into that. And then you would have to provide documentation or like a statement to the financial aid office in order to go into that. But you can't really like click and say I'm independent. You would have to answer a series of questions to kind of get there. Hopefully that helps out a little bit. Okay, so this is the part that I want to get kind of into. So who's my parent when I fill out my FAFSA? So we have like mixed families situation where we like maybe live with one parent, or like we have like 50-50 custody. There are so many scenarios when it comes to this. Maybe you have like a legal guardian, you live with a grandparent, so many scenarios. So here is a beautiful tool that just came out, I think like a year or two ago, or maybe it was like expanded. So here you can enter your parent's name. Or if you only have one legal parent, you can enter their name. But for the purposes of this, I'm thinking that I'm a student. I have two parents that don't live together anymore. So I'm going to put Joe and Jenny. Those are my parents. Then it's going to ask me, are Joe and Jenny married to each other? No, they are no longer married. Do Joe and Jenny live together? Oftentimes, a lot of people could still be separated or divorced and live in the same household. Do Joe and Jenny live together? No. Which parent has provided more financial support for the student over the past 12 months? It was my mom, Jenny. Did Jenny remarry? No. She has a boyfriend, but she has not remarried. So then this tells me that Jenny is the parent that I need to list on my FAFSA. So by using this tool, it is a FAFSA tool. This can kind of get you to where you need to be. So I kind of just use that scenario of a child with divorced parents, and I live with my mom a majority of the time, and she provides more than half of my financial support. If you have a more specific situation, again, talk to your counselor. There's also like this beautiful graph. And according to this, the following people are not your parents unless they have legally adopted you. So widowed step parent, grandparents, foster parents, legal guardians, older brother or sister, aunts or uncles. I know that sometimes this has come up a lot where maybe we don't legally, like we don't live with our parents, but we have like our relatives that watch over us. So work that out with your counselor. We're happy to help you to see whose FAFSA you need to report. Okay, and then we went over this. Which year's information is reported? So this is where it gets a little confusing, so just bear with me. So right now we're in the year 2025, right? It's 2025. We're trying to graduate the class of 2026. The class of 2026 is trying to go to college for the 26-27 school year. Okay, hopefully you're still with me for that. So because we're trying to go to college 26-27 school year, what information you need is the prior tax information or second previous year tax info. However you want to say it, both of them are correct statements. So without me saying it, in the chat, if I'm applying for the 26-27 cycle and I need my prior tax documents, what year are they talking about? You can drop it in the chat. We only need 1 year. It's also on the slides.
Prior.
Subtract 2. Anyone?
Not everyone at once. Not everyone.
Okay, I'll just give it to you. So prior, so I'm a class of 2026 grad trying to go to Cal State LA for the 26, 27. The tax documents that I need from my parents are from 2024. So yes, it's 2025, but as of now, like that this year is not finalized. So FAFSA can't work with unfinalized like tax stuff. So prior, so not this year, but the year prior to that. I always like to call it PPY. You can throw a fun fact for that for your parents during the dinner time today if you'd like. Um, and then yeah, we don't need 2025. That is for next year. And then what else? This is an important one, especially like when COVID came around, like lots of things were shifting and changing. So, um, let's say that like in 2024, like things were great, things were going super duper well, but now it's 25, we're going into 26. That income no longer looks like that. It is important to talk to your financial aid office, not FAFSA, because FAFSA is very, very black and white. You upload your tax documents, they talk to one another, they do the little formula dance, and then it spits out a number. It is important to file an appeal or just communicate to your college financial aid office and just say, hey, my numbers don't look like that anymore. Like my parents had a change of job or whatever it is, whatever the circumstance is, you need to be as like real and vulnerable as possible. Again, if you need coaching, you need to like write a statement, reach out to your counselor. We're more than happy to help you out with this. And when students have reached out to us, we have been able to get them quite a chunk of money, but it just depends on the school and the needs that they can provide. Not the needs, but like the help that they can provide the student because not every college is the same. Okay, invite your parent to this FAFSA. So this is the updated screen. This is what it's going to look like. So once you are done with all of your 5 sections, you will get to this last, well, second to last part, which is inviting your parent. All you need to invite your parent is their personal email address, not one that you guys share. It has to be exclusively your parents, not one that you've already listed on yours. I know sometimes like students and parents share one. It's really important that it is separated because that's where it can lead to like cross contamination of like emails and phone numbers. So they have their info, you have your info, and all you need is the email, hit invite, and then send it off. If perchance you mess up the email, you can always go back, cancel it, and resend it again. This is the important part because it is going to say, like, yay, you did your part. Like, there's going to be, I want to say there's confetti, but I could be wrong. Or it's like celebrating, like, you did your part. If your parent does not do their part, nothing happens with your FAFSA. So it's super important because this is technically like where we leave the student because we like now it's the parents' turn to do their part. So we leave you here in good faith that you are going to then follow through and follow up with your parent for them to submit their part. Once your parent submits their part, then at that point, it's a completed FAFSA for the most part. They will let you know if there are any errors on the page. They typically let you know within like 7 business days. So please, please, please follow up to see if there is anything that came up. Casey, did you have a question?
No, I don't, but I want to highlight this really fast because this happened to me when I was younger. If you have parents like me who do not remember their email address, their password, their phone number, PIN, all of those kind of things, if you are doing this with them, please make sure that you're using your email, your personal email, because you might not have access to your school email anymore after you graduate, and you will still use this financial aid in college for next year and the following year, and you still like you'll need this later on in the future. This isn't just a one-time thing. So this is really important to write down the email address that you use, your FSA ID, your PIN, your parents' email address that they utilized, their FSA ID, and their PIN and password. Keep this all in one place. I highly recommend if anybody has a smartphone, put it in your notes, email it to yourself, email it to your mom somewhere that you can get it later on, maybe whether it's in a year or 6 months from now or whenever you need to relocate all of this information. Because I know back when I did this, I was like, Mom, what did you use? And she's like, I don't know. Who knows where that's at? Who knows what that was? So please keep all of those things together in an important place or somewhere you know you're going to be able to have access to it later on. And something that like don't use your school email address because you won't have access to that in a year or 2 years.
Facts, yes. So whenever it comes to like college applications, even for like dual enrollment, financial aid, you want to use your personal email because once we exit you out of OFY or OFL, goodbye, that email shuts down. So this is your fair warning. If you have anything in your Google Drive for school, start saving it now. And back it up because truly we give you the boot once we graduate you. And it's a good like boot because we're happy that you got your high school diploma. Okay, moving on. Oh, and this is my other tip I like to give. Um, Sometimes you're just gonna get a bunch of emails. Maybe create one just for school. Sometimes I've gotten some students into the habit of like, for example, I see Elvis on the call. Maybe Elvis does like Elvis like Q 2030 because that's when he's planning on graduating from college. So it could be Elvis Q 2030 at gmail.com. Just something as simple as that, where you know, like, hey, that's my college email, where all of like college stuff goes into and all of that. Like, it's easy and it's not spamming like your personal email with all of like your, I don't know, coupons that you get from like Urban Outfitters. I don't know. Okay, so signing your form, it's just clicking. There's a lot of like fine print to read, but basically it's like connecting it with your social security and all of that. That's all of the fine print that it's saying, and then you check it off and then you click sign, and then you'll get something like this. This is what it looks like. This is the confetti that I was talking about. So it looks like, yay, I did it, but it does say pending submission. It is missing my parent, the contributor's information. So please, 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 once you finish with us, or if you do this on your own, your section, please follow up with your parent to make sure that they do their part as well. It shouldn't take too long. It should take like 15, 20 minutes to do. If you get stuck, reach out to your counselor. We're also happy to adjust our hours. So if you do need something on an evening time, let us know in advance. And that's something that we can do. That's something that I can do. Let us know because if your parents get stuck and they have a bunch of questions, we want to be there for them. So if evening hours work a little bit better, we can make something work. Okay, let's see. Common errors on the FAFSA. Just confusing the student and parent information, or just that cross contamination of like using your email or the same cell phone number to recover accounts. That's where it can lead to some headaches. Always just double check if it's asking for the student information or the parent information, because sometimes it will be asking for like, what's your marital status? And that can be confusing for the student. And then you answer that you're married, but you thought you were answering for your parents. So just really be on the lookout for those little statements. It doesn't really let you include cent amounts. So there's going to be times where you need to report dollar amounts. Make sure it's the full dollar amount. Cents don't matter. Double check even basic demographic information, your name, date of birth, social security number, address, and zip code. Something that I've seen a lot in recent FAFSA cycles is that we're typing away and we love to leave a blank space. So I'm typing my name, ALLISON, and then space. You can't see it on the form, but that will lead to an error. And it is the hardest error to find because it's a blank space. So just start getting into the habit of like you type your name and you don't add a space. Maybe some of you guys know what I'm talking about. Maybe as you're writing things or filling out forms, just take a look at how you're filling stuff out because I have seen a lot of students leave a space. And also proper nouns, your last name, first name, proper noun, capitalize those letters, please. Let me see what else. Social Security, double check the number that it's yours. Double check that it's not your sibling. At least once a year, we get a student that is having trouble and we're trying to troubleshoot and we're calling all the people. And it just turns out that it was their sibling's social security number and not like theirs. So just double check it, all of that fun stuff. Um, the other stuff I can skip out on. If you happen to have like a 529 plan, which is that like college fund, you do not need to report that since you are not the owner yet, but you are the beneficiary. I believe that's how it works. But you don't need to report that on your FAFSA. And then if you have like very specific, like maybe your parents have very specific questions on like real estate and assets and things like that, We will try our best to support you with that, but there was one time where it just got really complicated with assets and real estate. I said, this is better suited for your tax professional. We will try our best, of course, but we are high school counselors with a PPS credential and not in accounting. We're not CPAs. At the end, once everything kind of goes through, you will get something called an SAI, which is Student Aid Index. This is kind of like the formulas that they plug and check to see like the things that you're going to potentially qualify for. It says a paper SAI will be mailed if no student email is provided. I haven't really seen this. I think most students have the habit of entering an email address, or at least I make them come up with an email address. Because like paper, it's like so old school. Like who does that now? Like tracking, I don't even I think I open my mailbox like once a month. So yeah, electronic is better. Sign it digitally. That way there is a record that you can just jump into and not like trying to find a piece of paper. When you get this, it can be confusing. Just run it by your counselors. We'll take a look at it. This top number right here is what tells us like what your expected family contribution will maybe look like and all of that. So we can try our best. This won't give you the details of like how much money you're going to get. That is actually going to come from your college. So remember, FAFSA talks to college. College will then break down to you of how much money you're going to be getting for financial aid. Okay, so this one is how to appeal for financial aid. So, um, again, I'm class of 2026. I'm a student. My family's reporting their stuff from 2024. Things were going great for us in 2024, and now like my dad is in finding a new job. My mom is a stay-at-home mom. Things don't look financially how they looked in 2024. So this is where I need to then talk to the financial aid office and explain my situation and let them know that those numbers are no longer like aligned. Like there has been a big change in finances. Um, so this is the part where, I mean, these are all like some of the special circumstances. They don't encompass all that could potentially come up. I have like coached a few students through some of these scenarios. Again, we cannot make that contact for you, but we can draft a few emails for you and all of that good stuff. Of course, like in contact with you. But yeah, it never hurts. My policy is always like the worst thing that's going to happen is they say no, and then you kind of move on, and then you move on to the next step. So for most students, everyone for the most part is trying to go to a 4-year. That doesn't pan out. Maybe you're not getting the full amount of money that you thought you were going to be getting, and it's going to be hard to pay. Then at that point, we know that we can pivot to community college and kind of go from there. So keep your counselor in the loop so we can help you out, like determine what the best plan is going to be for you. But at the end of the day, I do say that it's a family decision. We're just kind of around to decipher some of that information. Okay, we're almost done, guys. Summary of the financial aid process. Don't love this visual, so I'm just gonna go through it. And yeah, just take a look at it. It's a lot of information. Okay, got it, noted, took a picture of it. Okay. Students' responsibilities. Students complete FAFSA or the California DREAM Act application. Not both. You have to select one. If you're confused on which one to complete, ask your counselor. We're going to be asking some personal questions like, do you have a social? Are you like refugee or asylee? Are you, where are you with your immigration status? Those are some of the questions that we may ask. We're not nosy. We're just trying to figure out like which application you need to fill out. Colleges determine eligibility. This one is super duper important. Again, FAFSA is just the application. They are not the ones that send out your money or anything like that. Evaluates needs, notify students if selected for verification. That's that random verification that I was talking about. Request for additional documentation. That would be your college financial aid office, not FAFSA. FAFSA will just let you know, like, hey, there's an error right here, fix it before we send it off to your college. Students must check their email and college portal and submit all requested documentation. please, please, please follow up with this. We do not get any alerts on your behalf. So it's really important that if something comes up, they're asking for something, that you follow through with it. If it's something that we need to give to you, you got to alert us, because again, we're not getting any alerts on your behalf. Any incomplete files or not filing, like say that you file your section, but your parent has yet to file their section, it is incomplete file. Nothing is being done with that. And then if it stays there for like way too long, your FAFSA can get deleted. So make sure that you're putting some like good time and energy into completing the entirety along with your parent as well. So incomplete file equals no money. Okay, before I get into this, a few of the things that I want to talk about is that March 2nd priority deadline. So October 1st to March 2nd is considered that priority deadline in the state of California. Oftentimes I have students that are like visiting friends in Texas, in New York, Connecticut, wherever it is, and the deadlines look a lot different in those areas. So yeah, we got testimonials of like, but my friend did this, but my cousin did this, but my aunt is going to help me. Fantastic, but just know that in the state of California, the priority deadline is March 2nd. Should you be filing on March 2nd? No, the window is so large. We would love for you to file today, this week, next week. Rule of thumb, we would love for you to file before winter break. Casey did a fantastic way of describing it. If you start seeing like Christmas lights, yes, do your FAFSA, get to it. If you don't see Christmas lights, start to panic because you should have done it by now. So before winter break would be fantastic. This is why we do our FSA challenge, which is not like, we're not even looking for you to submit. You get bonus points if you do submit, but we just want you to get set up. That way, when we see you on after Thanksgiving break, your accounts are ready to go. We're just like doing the rest of the steps that are needed for that. So please, 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 if you're feeling up for it, be part of the FSA challenge. We are raffling off a Stanley Cup, not the hockey Stanley Cup, like these. I don't know if you can see it, this little cup. I think it's in the color gray, and it's like that big one, the 40-ounce one. Yeah, so we'll be raffling off. So if you complete your FSA, that is one entry. If you also complete your parents' FSA ID, that's a second entry. And then if you complete the FAFSA, that is 3 times that your name can be entered into that raffle. So please do this. It's benefiting you, and you're within that priority window. Okay, we got about 13 minutes left. I quickly just want to go into not this, into what the FAFSA actually looks like. So again, this is a prototype. This is to show you what it's going to look like. None of the information in here is real. So this is what it's going to look like. Once your FSA ID is created, it's going to look like this. So I'm going to file for 26-27 school year. The other thing I want to add in, is let's say that you are a senior graduating next month and you want to be a full-time student in college for the spring 2026 term. That will mean that you would probably need to file your FAFSA for this current school cycle. So that would be the 25-26 FAFSA. But some of you might be getting a little confused of like, aren't there priority deadlines? Yes, there are priority deadlines. So the priority window for the 25-26 school year was last March. Actually, it was April 2nd, 2025. So right now we're out of the priority window. And at this point, it's whatever money is left over. So the student may not qualify for the maximum amount. They will qualify for whatever is left over. For the most part, it could be most of it, just really depends on what college you're going to. Okay, so I am class of 2026. So I'm going to click on 26-27, start the new form. I'm a student, not a parent. I'm a student. So remember, I am a student. Cool. I'm going to skip through all of these because my counselor, Casey, is on the call and she can coach me through all this stuff. So just gonna skip all of this. But if you were doing this on your own, for sure, I would say go through the videos. They're really helpful. This is all of my like personal information. Again, this is not a real student. This student lives in New York. So just kind of keep that into consideration because some of the stuff will look a little bit weird. Cool. So that is my info. State of residency is New York. So this is the one that comes up a lot. What is the residency? So let's say California, right? For the most part, we're all California residents. If you never like lived outside of California, you were born in California, then your date of residency was the day that you were born. So I was born November 27th. Yes, my birthday is next week on Thanksgiving. Yay for turkeys. So now here is provide consent and approval, or you won't be eligible for federal student aid. It is that black and white, guys. So I need to approve because I want all of my free money that I can potentially qualify for. So it's talking to the tax people, it's doing some stuff. Yay! They matched me with the IRS. Fantastic. So now I'm getting into the first section. I'm getting into personal circumstances. I am single. I mean, I do have a boyfriend, but according to this, they don't care about my boyfriend. They only care that I am single. Cool. I remember I'm class of 2026, so I'm a first year freshman. Yes, I did dual enrollment, but that does not factor into this equation. This is now asking, will I have my bachelor's degree before at the start of the school year? No, because I'm a first-time freshman. Some of these are like, is this a trick question? And it's like, those are just the questions we have to go through. None of these personal circumstances apply to me, but I would say obviously comb through this. Right now, I'm just going through it really quickly. So none of these apply to me. I'm going to continue. If they did apply, it would ask me for more follow-up and potentially I would qualify as an independent student. This is asking if I was experiencing homelessness after July 1st, 2025. I'm going to say no. Asking me for unusual circumstances. That was that one screen I was telling you about. This is going to be no. And then this is asking, are the students' parents refusing to provide their information on the FAFSA? That's going to be no. This is that trick question that I showed on the screen. Student demographics. I'm a female. If you are a male student, you will have to sign up for selective service. So meaning if there's ever a draft, you will get drafted into the military. I mean, a draft hasn't happened since World War II. This is the part that can get a little scary for some families or for some male students. But yeah, I wouldn't worry too much about it, but you do have to sign up for selective service in order for you to be eligible for federal financial aid. So I'm a female student. My demographics, Hispanic. My country doesn't pop up, so I'm gonna say I'm Peruvian because that's what I am. Student citizenship status, US. Going through this super quickly. I don't know. I don't know what my parents' education status is, and that's okay. My parents were not killed in the line of duty, so continue. I have a high school diploma. That's what I'm getting on May 26th, 2026. Okay, this is the part that's like super wonky because it did say that I am in New York. Again, this is a prototype, so it's not gonna have all of the information lined up, but for the most part, we have a lot of OFY Duarte students. State is California, city would be City of Industry. High school would be options for youth, and you would then see a pop-up like you did when I clicked on the thing. Search, there's my school, continue. Yep, that's my school. If you get stuck on the school section, please reach out to your counselor. It's asking about like money that I have. I don't have any of this because I'm a student that I don't work. I don't have any of this. I got $5 in my piggy bank. I don't have any real estate. I don't have any business or farms. Yes, these are real questions that come up. Okay, cool. This is where I'm going to enter all 20 of my colleges. Nobody got time for 20 colleges, so we're going to enter at least one. Let's see if it's going to find it. No, it's not. Arlington, sure. Like all this information is not actually accurate. That's okay though. But for the purposes of this, it's working for us. I'm going to choose my one college. I'm going to continue. Invite a parent as a contributor. Perfect. I know I'm getting to the end. This is where I'm going to add my parents' email. I don't know. Hopefully this goes through. Send invite. Okay. This is where it starts to glitch because I already used that email. Send invite. My parent is now getting the invite, and then like, wait, I messed it up. You can always cancel the invite and redo the email. Okay, I'm gonna click continue because I invited my parent and I am almost done. Here I can open up all the things so I can double check my information to see if it's good to go. Highly recommend that you do this. We're almost out of here, guys. I'm gonna click continue. It's gonna ask me to sign. The fine print looks good to me. Sign student section. I did it. I did my student section in like 8 minutes. Will you be that fast? Probably not, because I would want you to read some of the stuff. But yeah, this is the goal. We want you to get to this page.
Allison, there's the question. I don't know if you have access to view that. What does your parent see?
Ooh, that's a good one. It looks very similar. We don't have time for me to go into that section. But it looks pretty much the same as far as like layout. It looks just like that. It is going to be asking to link their tax documents. That's the biggest difference. Yay, Rebecca, you submitted your FAFSA. Did you submit your FAFSA while we were going through all of this? Because that's pretty cool of you. Let me see. I believe this is the parent one.
So, Elvis, when you enter the email address, your parent gets that email that says they've been listed as a contributor or identified as a contributor, and they'll log in with their FSA ID to the federal student aid site, or they'll have to create one if they don't have one. It's a one time in a life deal. Like you got one social security number, you got one FSA ID. Doesn't matter how old or how young you are. It's
Yeah.
one in your entire lifetime. So if they were in college and they have one, um, or they had one at that point, then it's still valid. They don't need to get a new one. But then they'd go through that process of like what Allison was showing.
Awesome. Thank you, Gabby. All right, so the last thing is the same link that you're on right now will be the same link that we're using for all of the workshops that will happen December 1st to March 6th. This is the list of all of the counselors. Like I said, Monday through Thursday, at least twice a day, we will have workshops. Friday, it will be once a week. Sometimes meetings come up, events come up for us, so sometimes we may have to cancel some of these workshops. We kind of already planned for some of the dates that we're going to be out of the office. But yeah, we want to make this manageable for y'all. It sounds like a lot of the people on here are on it and have already finished or started it. So love that. Please be part of our FSA challenge. We want to raffle off Stanleys, and if there are more in stock at the office, maybe we can do more raffles. I don't know. I got to go check inventory. But for sure, we'll be raffling off one. So like I said, if you fill out the FSA challenge, your name will be entered once by you creating your FSA ID. Your name will be entered a second time if you complete your parents' FSA ID, and then it would be entered a third time if you complete the FAFSA or the CADA. Proper screenshots are required. Don't be that person that like uploads like a picture of like Looney Tunes. Like, please be real because I'm checking all the screenshots. I already had to send one back. Don't be that person. Okay, that's basically it. It is 4:59. We did it, guys. I'm gonna drop some links in the chat before I let y'all go, which is the FSA challenge. Here it is. If you a lot of you have said you already done it. I haven't seen most of you on my FSA challenge Google form, so please fill it out. It's just uploading those screenshots. Let's see what else. If you don't know who your counselor is, you can check it out right here. At the bottom of their name, you see which teacher they work with. And if you're still lost in the sauce, you can, of course, reach out to me and I will let you know who your teacher is. But thank you so much. It is 4:59. I don't know if I'm going to see any of you guys. If you celebrate Thanksgiving, happy Thanksgiving. Grateful for all of the students and families that were able to join us tonight. Thank you. Bye.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Um, whose name do